Should an attendee engage in one of the prohibited behaviors, thus distracting from the business purpose of this meeting, the attendee will receive a warning to immediately cease the prohibited behavior. If the attendee does not cease the prohibited behavior, the attendee will be escorted from the business meeting by security. We appreciate your respectful attendance and participation and look forward to a productive meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here tonight. As we have 88 speakers, I ask for your patience and respect as we get through everyone. So in-person speakers will be called on by the board secretary. All speakers will receive 1 minute to speak and 1 minute for individuals representing a group. Speakers may be interrupted and given notice when they have 30 seconds left. When speakers have reached their 1 minute mark, their time will expire. Ms. Rallo, please begin to call on in-person speakers.
Thank you. When I call your name, I'm going to try and do 4 at a time. If you can please line up. We will begin with Ismail Royer, followed by Charlene Haupt, Christopher Providence, and Amelia Gossman.
Ismail Royer. I am director of the Coalition of Virtue. Oh, so you can't hear me? Okay, sorry. Yes, my name is Ismail Royer, and I am director of the Coalition of Virtue. We are a Muslim public policy organization based in Maryland. We are here to support the removal of the book Flamer from the shelves here because we feel that parents have the right to say what books meet the community standards and what don't, and what their children should be able to access in the public schools. And we agree with our friends who want the book to stay on the shelves on one thing, I believe, and that is that not every book should be on shelves. There are some books that are racist, for example, that should not be on shelves. So this is not a book ban. This is simply a debate about what books are appropriate and what are not. Thank you.
Charlene Haupt.
Good evening. My name is Charlene Haupt, and I was a retired teacher from Harford County Public Schools. I personally do not approve of banning this book, Flamed, in Harford County. I totally accept the premise that parents should be the ones to say what their child reads and what is available in their school libraries. To take that away by a biased minority on our Board of Education, it seems they wish to stymie our students' choices and dictate to all parents. That is antithetical to the freedom of each person, teacher, parent, and each child in our schools. To override that freedom is an affront to every Harford County resident. However you look at it, this is not freedom. I think most of us here tonight would be interested in your thought processes that have never been explained with any specifics about banning this book, nor any feedback to the opposition. In my opinion, if this stands, it is one more guardrail taken away from every person in Harford County. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to again express my opposition to the decision to ban the book Flamer. And I'm particularly interested in addressing the 5 board members who voted to ban the book. And I have some concerns as to how you would ban a book without reading it. Dr. Poynton, you indicated, or you said in a statement, if I were to read excerpts aloud during a board meeting, I would be fined by the FCC. I just wanted to share a portion of the book very quickly. When the 14-year-old protagonist of the story says, "It's just going to keep going like this forever, on and on and on and on and on. Too short, too fat, not man enough, not white enough, not straight enough. I'll never be safe anywhere." And the next day, he goes out and considers slashing his wrist. This book can save lives.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Amelia Gossman. I'm here to speak out against the board's decision to ban Flamer from Harford County Public Schools. I'm a HCPS alum, North Harford, class of '09. And I also work in a college library. I'm a college educator. I'm also an author illustrator in the children's publishing world, and I'm a peer of Mike Curato. So I wanted to talk about the educational value of controversial material. The books are tools for students to safely mentally train for the real world and process challenging topics. So think of the Danger Room from X-Men. Books are also there to help them understand diverse perspectives, gain empathy for others, especially for LGBTQA+ students. So if parents have concerns about challenging topics, they should consider engaging in meaningful conversations with their children rather than pretending the topics don't exist. And we should trust children to have the freedom to think for themselves and not censor ideas for them. Thank you.
Our next speakers are William Martino, followed by Neil Thompson, Tarcy Thompson, and Susan Deeney.
Good evening. I am disgusted that I have to once again stand up here and address the removal of a perverted and immoral book from the public school libraries down to the middle school level. I am amazed that the purple shirt leftists continue to fight so hard for the promotion of filth to innocent young minds. Why not fight hard for academic standards? When the schools successfully banned cursive writing, the Constitution, and banned physical geography, there wasn't a peep out of the left. But when you try to remove material from the school library that has dozens of F-bombs, male genitals in your mouth, and degrading terms to women, they come out in droves to stop it. This is inappropriate for young minds to be exposed to. It is our jobs as parents to ensure that the school is teaching academics and keeping children innocent as long as possible. Study after study has shown that kids brought up in a wholesome environment outperform in every category to those who are exposed.
Good evening. My name is Neil Thompson, and I'm here to oppose the banning of the book Flamer. The Reconsideration Committee is charged with evaluating challenged library books using criteria outlined in the library's evaluation and selection procedure. All members must read each book assigned to their subcommittee. They did their job, yet the school board overturned their recommendation apparently based on naughty language. Maryland Law Encyclopedia clarifies that courts may not rule based on personal view, but an objective review of materials. Allegedly obscene material must be taken as a whole. Listen tonight when excerpts from Flamer are read aloud. The book does not glorify profanity. Rather, it uses it to teach a lesson. This book belongs on the shelves of our libraries. Thank you.
Good evening. I oppose the removal of Flamer from HCPS high school and middle school libraries. The Reconsideration Committee was formed to review challenged books based on Maryland law, the Freedom to Read Act. The very name of the act, Freedom to Read, emphasizes that what was done here goes against it. One parent who didn't read the book took the choice away from all the other parents and students. The themes of Flamer, dealing with racial discrimination, fat shaming, homophobia, discovering identity, and despair, are important. The students who are dealing with these issues need to see themselves in books. As I read Flamer, I thought of my great niece. I also thought of many students from my 35 years of teaching. These are our children in our families and in our classrooms. There is a message of hope at the end of the book.
My name is Susan Deeney, and I've been a public services librarian for over 40 years. I just wanted to say that banning never works. History proves this over and over again. Banning books never works. The more you try to suppress a book, the more people want to read it. That's not defiance, it's human curiosity. And in this case, it's also survival. Young people who feel alone, who feel like outsiders, will find Flamer by Mike Curato, whether you like it or not, because it speaks to them. Your ban will not stop that. All it does is send the message that this school system does not care about them, that their experiences are shameful and dangerous. That is a message no educator should ever want to send. Overturn the ban on Flamer. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Sheila Allen, followed by Helen Mann, Ann Hartig, and Christy Crawford-Smith.
Hi, my name is Sheila Allen. Flowers in the Attic is a novel by V.C. Andrews, published in '79 with references to abuse, forbidden love, and family betrayal. When I saw my 7th grade son had this book, it was the first time I thought about preventing him from reading it, and I was a reading teacher. My husband and I discussed whether he should be reading this particular book, and we approached him and expressed our opposition. I remember he looked at us and he said, you can take this book away from me, but I can find it somewhere else. I'm not saying I will, but I can. We decided to allow the book, but with conversation. What we had was a good discussion as he read that, and our son eventually lost interest in the books by that author. Today at 42, he's still a reader and reads about 40 books a year. Banning a book may prevent some students from reading what you don't want them to read, but at what cost? Reduced access to diverse, challenging literature correlates with lower reading engagement and weaker critical thinking. There really are no pluses for banning a book. Think about it, and don't.
Hi. First, I'm opposed to book bans. In the case of Flamer, I was surprised that I read that that it has been considered vulgar by some people here because of the salty language. I'm not crazy about that language either, but I'm also not a teenage boy trying to prove myself among my peers. We were a scouting family, and guess what? Boy Scouts cuss. Vulgar to me is denying some young people an opportunity to read a story that validates their lived experience in a culture that is constantly trying to deny their reality. To me, this is vulgarity. Thank you.
The Maryland Freedom to Read Act was signed on April 25th last year. Do you know of this act? Your decision to ban the book Flamer runs afoul of this law's principles to protect and defend educators' judgments in vetting and selecting books for their schools. Your uninformed decision without public comment and your capitulation to one parent's ideology about what is meaningful and appropriate for students demonstrates your willful defiance of the law. It neglects the needs and wishes of the other county students. You must do better. Reinstate Flamer. Thank you.
Good evening. We have spent years of our lives with our hands over our hearts reciting the words with liberty and justice for all. Yet, it's problematic to actually want liberty and justice for all. Last year it was African American Studies, but now you're targeting the queer community. It must be exhausting being on the wrong side of history. So much for parental rights. Parents have always had the right to limit their child's access to specific books. Now you are infringing on the rights of other parents. So I guess you do co-parent with the government as long as it suits your specific narrative. Got it. The excerpts from Flamer that you find so appalling are depicting real-life bullying. Let's be clear. Those were the words of the Boy Scouts tormenting a fellow camper. If that makes you uncomfortable, because it should. Words hurt and bullying is unacceptable. You haven't bothered to read the book, yet you secretly banned it, and it has been credited for saving lives. The bullies in the book were the problem, just like in real life. You may limit me to 60 seconds, but you will not silence me. I am on the right side of history, and I am not alone. And when we fight, we win.
Our next speakers are Delane Lewis, Victoria Harvey, Rita Sharman, and Maureen Wessner.
Hi, my name is Delane Lewis. I'm the president of Together We Will, and I'm here in opposition to any book ban and also into the specific book ban of Flamer. There are two parallel and equal issues here. One is that you're violating the law. You're violating constitutional law, you're violating Maryland state law, you're violating your own process and protections that were already existed and in place for parents and students in the system. Parents already had the ability to indicate they didn't want a book to have their child to have access to the book, and that was more than sufficient. Instead, you've stepped in front of parents. You're telling them what they should or should not allow their students to read. Additionally, it's using a book review process to seek to shame our LGBTQ+ community and force them to hide. It sends a message that you are not welcome. This book sends a message of hope and survival, that having someone who sees and supports them can save lives. Please reinstate the book.
I wonder if priests jerk off. This literary gem is found on page 86 of Flamer, the book that so many are here to defend. Pulling the book off school shelves isn't an attack on any community. It is removing a poorly written, classless, lowbrow, vulgar, graphic novel that has zero educational value. This alleged, highly accredited graphic novel is a colossal waste of taxpayer money. If a parent finds Flamer to be such a classic, get it from Amazon. I'm surprised this book is one that so many are ardently defending. There must be a better written material that isn't so vulgar and low IQ that represents the LGBTQ community. Don't we all wish to inspire our kids, expand their vocabulary? As a mom of a soon-to-be middle schooler, thank you for having the fortitude to remove this one title off the shelf. The last thing my kid needs to hear is suck any good dicks lately.
Hi, my name is Rita Sharman. The recent action of the board to override the recommendation of the reconsideration panel reviewing contested books is both bad policy and simply wrong. The review committee is a well-balanced body of qualified community members, professionals, representing a full spectrum of social and political views. The board overriding this body's recommendation defeats the purpose of the committee and substitutes individual board members' political views and personal biases rather than the well-developed community consensus. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Maureen Wessner. I oppose the banning of the book Flamer. The Board of Education should respect the decision of the Library Materials Reconsideration Committee, whose members actually read the book, evaluated it, and approved it. I ask that you reinstate the book Flamer. Thank you.
Our next speakers are Cheryl Adams, Dr. Stephanie Stone, Carrie Franson, and Caitlin Hurley.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to state my opposition to book banning in Harford County Public Schools. Even books that I may not personally align with, because I want all of our students to have the ability to read what they choose and form their own opinions and ideals through critical thinking. I believe this is one of our most important gifts we can give our children, the ability to think for themselves. When you ban books because you personally disagree with something about the book, you are taking those opportunities away from them. That's not freedom or liberty. Also, when you ban a book, you make it way more enticing, which is counterintuitive to your banning the book in the first place. For me, it was Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. I'm showing my age. And Go Ask Alice. Those are the two that popped into, that I read. Go Ask Alice is one that probably was inappropriate for me to read at the age that I read it. And it was one to be banned, but it kept me from ever doing drugs. I was so scared after reading the book. Look, if your goal is to keep kids from reading a book, banning it.
Thank you.
Can you please state your name?
Caitlin Hurley.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Caitlin Hurley, and I'm a librarian with HCPS who also served on the broader reconsideration committee. I read the entire book cover to cover, as did every single member of the reconsideration committee. They followed legal precedent, district policy, and the Maryland Right to Read Act, and found that Flamer has clear literary and educational value. The claim that it's pervasively vulgar is legally unsound. In Board of Education versus Pico, the Supreme Court ruled that a book cannot be removed simply for being offensive. Pervasively vulgar applies only when vulgarity dominates a work so completely that it has no serious value. That's not the case here. Any profanity is limited, authentic to a 14-year-old boy's voice, and is far outweighed by the book's powerful story of bullying, identity, resilience, and survival. Courts, including Miller versus California, require a book to be judged as a whole, and Flamer clearly passes that test. You've misapplied the law and dismissed the professional process that the reconsideration.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Gary Ambridge, followed by Deborah Bowers, Dr. Stephanie Stone, and Carrie Franston.
Good evening. My name's Gary Ambridge. I'm a retired school library media supervisor. I have evaluated thousands of books. I know what I'm talking about. Library book banners fail to consider that this very issue has been ruled upon by the Supreme Court in 1982 in Board of Education, Island Trees School Union Free District versus Pico. What the Supreme Court has said, school library boards may not remove books from school library shelves simply because they dislike the ideas contained in those books. Textbooks and library books are two different things. You do have a right to change textbooks. The parents that do not like books may censor their child's reading, but they may not.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Is there a Deborah Bowers?
Good evening. My name is Deborah Bowers. I was a North Harford High School graduate back in 1972 and enjoyed the public library there. The school library had plenty of good books in it. And I just want to say that you're not doing your job if you ban books and exclude certain people from finding books that they can relate to. Flamer is not a fringe work. It is an award-winning graphic novel recommended by the American Library Association, praised in national reviews. It was created with skill, compassion, and purpose. By banning it, you are saying none of that matters. You are reducing art to a handful of lines pulled out of context. Book bans don't protect children. They protect fear. Let teachers and librarians do their jobs. Thank you.
Dr. Stephanie Stone.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Stone. I am a psychologist and an educator, so I went to Webster's for some help. Turns out they provisioned this very topic. Webster's says, to educate is to, 1, impart knowledge, and 2, develop powers of reasoning and judgment. In a nutshell, to be educated, our students need critical thinking skills, and they need a complete database. They need all the data. Thank you very much.
Carrie Franston.
Good evening. My name's Carrie. The first thing I want to point out is that the HCPS Board of Education violated the Open Meetings Act in Comor 4-107. The second thing I'd like to point out is that you had a committee for a reason. A librarian, an administrator, 2 parents, 2 students, and a community member. They were given extensive instruction on the law and how to apply it when evaluating a book. The parent who asked for the book to be removed had not even read it. Please respect your committee and do not ban this book or further books per their recommendations.
Next, we have Jody Frey, Janie Garcia, Noah Hutton, and Tanisha Gannon.
Hi, I'm Jody Fry. I urge the board to reconsider its decision to ban Flamer. The Book Reconciliation Committee followed Harford County's established policy and found the book appropriate to remain in our library. This after it was already determined by our professionals, the librarians. Overturning that decision disregards the rules that we all agreed to follow. Books should not be banned simply because they include some sexual language. Literature reflects the realities our young people face. It helps them build empathy, resilience, and understanding. Parents always have the right to guide their own children's reading, but no one should decide what every student can or cannot read. When we ban books, we silence voices, we limit learning, and we set a dangerous precedent. Our responsibility is not to shield from ideas, but prepare our children to think critically about them. Let us honor the review process, reaffirm the commitment to follow our county's policy, trust our educators, and keep our schools places where curiosity and freedom to read are respected. Thank you.
Was there a Janie Garcia?
Hi, my name is Janie Garcia. I'm the mother of a 14-year-old son. I don't believe in banning any books. Diversity is very important in education. It's crucial. It promotes inclusivity, empathy, and equitable learning environment. The book Flamer introduces not much that's new to this world. I mean, these kids are aware that there are homosexuals out there. What it does is help them maybe gather a sense of understanding, and maybe it'll prevent bullying, and maybe it'll prevent a suicide of a young person who's struggling where they don't feel they fit in. And banning it is just making it more of a shameful act for that person who's struggling with these issues. No book should ever be banned. Stifling knowledge is just not okay. It's not a good thing. Thank you.
We had Noah Hutton, followed by Tanisha Gannon.
Hi, my name is Noah Hutton. I've been teaching at Edgewood High School for the last 10 years, and I also graduated from Harford County Public Schools. I'm against this banning this book. To be completely transparent, I have not read the book, and I can't speak to the validity of the book itself. What I am concerned with is the fact that the book was banned behind closed doors, and that it wasn't actually even announced to the community. The way the community found out is they went onto HCPS's website, and they noticed that it was added to the banned book list without it ever being announced, so that way people could actually reflect and appeal the decision or come to the Board of Education with their thoughts about the banning of the book. So I would just ask that in all matters that the Board of Education makes, unless it's a very sensitive nature of hiding someone's identity, which banning a book is not, it should be done in the public's eye, so that way the entire community can talk about what's going on and speak to it. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tanisha Gannon, HCPS employee, also Local 2471 president of ASME. What type of reputation will banning this book do to Harford County communities? There's an aid in every family, school, and community. Banning this book will not stop what is a part of life. Education starts at home and extends to the classrooms with the professionals. Don't ban this book. Educate the ones who don't understand. Thank you.
Next, we have Judy Stiles, followed by Kelly Quinn, Stephanie Teeple, and Pearson Michael.
We are a government that was created on the principle by the people, for the people, of the people. The key word here being people. This is a government where the people get a vote. Things that are done secretly in compliance with the desires of one or a few, we don't know how many objected to the book, are not our founding principles. I encourage everyone to speak out and read the book if you'd like, but follow the principles, as I understand you all did in the very beginning, and then something changed in that meeting. We must be transparent. We must represent the people, not a single person. Thank you.
I'm a mother of a 13-year-old. I'm a queer mother of a queer 13-year-old. I understand what it's like to navigate your sexuality in a homophobic community, and unfortunately, so does my child. Banning books doesn't safeguard innocence. It condemns children and adolescents to suffer in silence and shame. My child suffers in silence and shame. I'm defending my child's right to representation in the books they read. Thank you.
Can you please state your name?
Evening. My name is Michael Peason. You claim the ban of Flamer by Mike Curato is about protecting children. But protecting them from what? Reality? Protecting them from words that might mirror their own fears? Protecting them from seeing that bullies can change and communities can heal? What you call protection is really erasure, and children will see through it. They know when adults are afraid of the truth. Flamer isn't dangerous, silence is. Book bans don't protect children, they protect fear. Let teachers and librarians do their jobs, and please overturn the ban. Thank you.
I'm Jennifer Ralston. I served as a librarian in the public library here in Harford County for 32 years. Part of my job was to handle complaints, to support intellectual freedom and the right to read, and to create collections that reflected the diversity of this community. Please do not ban this book. Please support your professional librarians in the schools who follow the selection criteria, who know their children, who are trying to create diverse collections for all the students in the school system. I was also honored to be on the committee that was part of the reconsideration process. I was amazed at the professionalism of how it ran, and I hope that you can support your professional librarians, support the process of reconsideration of books, and don't ban books, return Flamer to the shelves. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Kelly Quinn. Due process matters in the state of Maryland. This was once a victory of due process. The Reconsideration Committee and the superintendent approved Flamer for middle school and high school libraries. Yet this board met behind closed doors, overrode that verdict, and removed the book 5-3 in a secret vote on June 26th. Process matters. You spent 2 years to create a review system of staff, board, and public input, and then you bypassed it. Don't call it democracy. This is dismissal by decree. That's not the example we want for our students or the state of Maryland. Reverse the ban.
Hello, I'm Linda Zvitkovits, librarian at Edgewood High. I'm here to thank the board members who told us how they voted regarding Flamer and to explain why it's so important. Every day, we librarians see firsthand that many children who are bullied choose to spend their lunch period sitting alone in the library. We wish the crude language in Flamer were not a reality for our students, but it is. So if we have a book about a boy who endured this terrible bullying and who questioned his own value, but ultimately decided not to take his own life, we'd like that book to be there for someone who needs it, wouldn't you? One of you fears sending mixed messages about what language is appropriate, but the message in the book is that the language the bullies use is not okay. It hurts. How can we get this message to the kids who need it if we don't have realistic, meaningful stories? Are you suggesting we only let them read books where people speak properly to each other? Please serve as many families as possible by leaving the book on the shelf and letting us work with families to find books for their students. We love doing that. Thank you.
Next, we have Lorette Vetusi. followed by Katie York, Kim Sakra, and Christine Bauer.
Hello, my name is Lorette Vitucci. I'm a retired school psychologist, and I oppose the banning of books in general and the banning of this book, Flamer, in particular. I believe that we should trust and respect the decision that was made by the collective expertise and knowledge of our reconsideration committee. Please reinstate this book and return it to the shelf. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kim Sakra, and I'm a mother of 2 boys, one in middle school, one in high school in Harford County. I read Flamer, finished it today. It is a book I would love my children to read and gain empathy and understanding of people who are not like them. Please do not ban this book because one small minority voice finds this vulgar, whatever the reason is. It is a beautiful story. It is something that our community needs to grow and expand and make sure that we're all safe and included. Thank you.
Good evening. I am a book lover myself. I'm also opposed to book bans, but I would like to differentiate. I don't believe that creating a carefully curated collection is the same as banning a book, and I applaud the board for doing the right thing. Let's not kid ourselves that the Harford County library shelves, public school library shelves are the only place that children can have access to books. I hear it being said often in this room that they're going to find the information anyway. One of the things that I love about having a Kindle is I can finish a book in the comfort of my home and not leave and check out the next book that I want to read. So I think that's a wonderful thing, and I don't think that accessibility is a problem either when we're hearing that children can find this information on their cell phones. So I'd like to address a book called Wicked. New York Times says that it's not appropriate for kids. In a word, no, it has adult themes. However, it's in HCPS. Let's move on. Thank you.
Is Katie York here? Oh, okay, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Katie York. I wanted to request that you reinstate Flamer to the shelves. Additionally, I ask you to reconsider removing books from the school libraries. The school library is one place where some students, that may be the only place that they have the opportunity to select a book to read. They may not have access at home. They additionally may also be seeking out information that they are trying to figure themselves out. I can tell you, as a queer teenager, I wish this book was around when I was a teenager. I almost died by suicide, and for me, it is something that, when the book says this book will save life, I believe it. Because as an adult, getting to read this book, I felt so reflected. And I also just urge you to reconsider removing books from the library in general. Thank you.
Our next speakers are David Faby, Joseph Fleckenstein, Ellen Busen, and Susan Noss. When you start your comment, please state your name.
Hello, my name's Dave Faby. Listen fast. When Boynton did the Facebook post, if I were to read these excerpts aloud during a board meeting, I would be fined by the FCC. Flamer and pornographic content have no place on the shelves in Harford County Library. Board member Mueller didn't even read the book. So much for considering the parents of your district. That's kind of weak and a little bit of a DEI excuse. Anyway, there are multiple administrations that have fake accreditations for that particular book, and Kirkus, School Library Journal, and all the ones you guys cite. But I brought the book along just so people would understand what's in it. And you mentioned things about bullying, things like that. This particular page shows a boy going to the showers in order to take a shower, but there's men in there. The next page shows the actual man with a boy. So that's not bullying, that's grooming. And
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Joe Fleckenstein. In a taxpayer-funded environment like our public school system, it's important to protect children, minors basically, from pornographic literature. I'm not saying that Flamer necessarily is or isn't, but other book, and it very well could be, but there are books in our school system that would fall in that category. All Boys Aren't Blue is one of them. It can be found in 7 of our high school libraries. I'm going to read a quick excerpt from it. As we kissed, he began unzipping my pants. He reached his hand down and pulled out my dick. He quickly went to giving me head. He then came up and asked me if I wanted to try on him. I said, sure. I began and he said, watch your teeth. He didn't know I was a virgin. I did my best to act dominant like any favorite porn star. His body felt great in my mouth. I came up after a while and kissed him again. We both got up and went into it.
Thank you.
Hard to do that, but I just wanted to share it with you. Thank you.
Ellen Buskin. I'm going to read a quote from Flamer. I hate bullies. I don't understand what they get out of it, and I never know what to say in response. Sometimes I think of a comeback hours later. Even then, it's not always the best comeback. I think, like everyone's been saying, this board has totally disregarded the professionals, the librarians, the reconsidering committee, and yes, the parents have an option to not read, to have their child not read this book, and I think that should be satisfactory for them. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sue Knaus. I am a lesbian, but more importantly, I am the mom, proud mom, to a Havre de Grace warrior middle schooler. What this book speaks to is to bullying for someone who is different and struggling to find out who he is culturally and around his sexuality. In a place and time where what is modeled for our children is that bullying is the road to success in the highest office in this country, this story offers the antidote to that in kindness and acceptance. Growing up, books offered me escape and possibility. It offered me an opportunity to find myself and see myself reflected somewhere out there. Current statistics show that 39% of queer youth and 46% of transgender non-binary seriously consider suicide. Please consider reinstating this book.
Our next speakers are Mandy Robinson, Lucy Buxton, Ruth Oswald, and Beth Happick.
Hello, can you hear me? Louder? Okay. My name is Mandy Robinson, and I am in opposition of your banning of the book Flamer by Mike Curato. I not only went to a Harford County Public High School, but also grew up in the Archdiocese of Baltimore. And despite all of this, I am standing before you today as an out and proud lesbian woman who was once part of the 20% of queer youth who make attempts at their own lives and was lucky to not have succeeded. I'm here to tell you that regardless of how many books you ban or what kind of rhetoric you feed to them, kids who are gay are always going to be gay. And it's not disgraceful to say that because it's not disgraceful to be gay. Calling this book vulgar is an excuse to ban a queer story, and it has opened a pipeline that will lead into more queer stories being banned from books. Those of us who are here to defend Flamer are asking that you take into consideration what your adult life would look like had you been forced to suppress a major facet of your identity due to the opinions of adults who were not.
Yep. Good evening. I'm Lucy Buxton, and I'm here this.
Hang on a second.
No?
Let me start again.
Okay.
Let's get this straight. And if everybody just sort of step close to it, it does require you to be close.
That's okay, it won't take me long. I'm Lucy Buxton. I'm here this evening to ask you to reverse your decision to ban the graphic novel Flamer. Inclusion of this book in middle and high school libraries was approved by educational professionals and the superintendent of Harford County Public Schools. The decision to ban this book based on the objections of a small group of parents violates the rights of the majority of students and their parents. It also runs counter to the mission of education, which is to open minds and broaden horizons. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight and for your attention to this matter.
Hi, my name is Beth Happick. Books are tools for understanding complex issues. Limiting young people's access to books does not protect them from life's complex and challenging issues. I have good reason to believe that some of the board members' reasons for banning the book were based on personal ideologies, perhaps based on Christian faith. I'm a person of deep Christian faith, and that's why I oppose the ban. The book is written to help students who are made to feel less than. My faith tells me that we are never to make people feel less than. All are loved. I urge you to honor the Reconsideration Committee's recommendation and reinstate Flamer.
Our next speaker is Karen Elliott, followed by Jan Hirschfeld, Leslie Thompson, and Brian Creswick.
Hi, my name is Karen Elliott. Do you realize how this makes Harford County look? We're not being talked about for innovation, achievement, or excellence. We're in the headlines for banning an award-winning book. This is not just a moral failure, it's a reputational one. Families moving here, businesses investing here, colleges evaluating our students, they will all see this and ask, does Harford County really value education, or does it value censorship more? You didn't ban a book, you banned honesty, freedom, and the best traditions of our country. Overturn the ban on Flamer by Mike Curato.
Good evening. I'm Jan Hirschfeld. I came tonight to oppose the ban on the book Flamer. I oppose this board making decisions to ban books when you already have an established, robust, professional, multidisciplinary committee that approaches decisions like these from the point of view of child development. There are members of this board who seem unable to do that. You are about to make a decision that is not in the best interest of our children. I remind you that if you believe every parent should have a voice, remember that your decisions cut out parents who want and need books like Flamer to be available for their kids. Please do not make the decision to ban this book.
Good evening. My name is Leslie Thompson, and I am the lowbrow, low IQ parent of a 14-year-old that I allowed to read the book. Data is important, especially when combating inflammatory rhetoric like the statement that the book Flamer is pervasively vulgar. Let's talk about some data. Flamer is 368 pages long. It contains 56 swear words. For context, let's look at a couple of famous literary classics. Catcher in the Rye, 277 pages long, 186 swear words throughout. Grapes of Wrath, 464 pages long, 500 swear words, which is more than one per page. It's clear that the banning of Flamer is a result of homophobia, not vulgarity. It's discrimination, plain and simple.
Good evening. My name is Brian Creswick, and I'm here to request that
the school board reverse the ban of Flamer. It's the place of parents to have difficult conversations with their kids. And the school board already allows that by giving parents an opt-out process. But by banning a book, rather than allowing individual parents to address this, you are violating the rights of other parents to have this avenue to address difficult topics with their kids. Thank you.
Our next speakers are Christina Lanoka, Kay Creswick, Brenda Phillips, and Gary Johnson.
Yes, we do need God back in our schools. Matthew 18:6, but whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to stumble, it would be better for him to have a heavy millstone hung around his neck and to be drowned in the depth of the sea. I want to again thank you, those who voted to remove the sexually explicit book Flamer from our schools. Dr. Poynton noted the difference between banning books and curating, i.e. the books should be chosen based on age appropriateness. The book clearly violates HCPS selection standards, which prohibit materials with obscene language, sexually explicit content, or depictions of illegal or violent acts inappropriate for the age group served. This reasoning suggests that many more books must be aggressively purged from our libraries. Flamer was definitely not the only book that was not age appropriate, and not the only book that certainly would have been rated R as a movie. Taxpayers should not be forced to pay for books that are immoral, whether heterosexual or homosexual. May God continue to bless and guide you in all your decision-making.
Hello, my name is Kay Creswick, and I'm here to oppose the ban of the book Flamer. Sorry about that. When this board bans Flamer, you're choosing ignorance over freedom. You are teaching your children that fear has more authority than truth. President Eisenhower once said, "Don't join the book burners. Don't think you're going to conceal faults by concealing evidence that they ever existed." Yet here we are in 2025 in Harford County with a Board of Education that has joined the ranks of the book burners. You should be defending our freedom to read and not destroying it. I would appreciate if you could reverse the ban on Flamer. Thank you.
Gary Johnson. In Mahmoud v. Taylor, the Supreme Court ruled that school systems such as Harford County's violate the rights of parents when they expose children to LGBTQ books, touting perverse sexual lifestyles without their parents' consent. The court said that it is the right of the parents to direct the religious upbringing of their children. The content of these books is at odds with the religious beliefs of many. When Montgomery County forced children to be exposed to these books, some parents sought an opt-out. But when the opt-outs became a burden to the school system, the opt-outs ended. The court was less concerned about the burden on the school system than it was about the burden the school system was placing upon the parents, for what was being taught was at odds with the parents' beliefs. The court has affirmed that parents have rights, including the right to allow their children to be released from school during school hours for the purpose of religious training. LifeWise Academy offers such training. Let our children go. They belong to the parents, not to the school system.
Is there a Brenda Phillips? Okay, our next speakers are Bridget Crenshaw, Kate Christie, Robin Brown, and Aravinda Pilamari.
Good evening. My name is Bridget Crenshaw. I am an 18-year employee with Harford County Public Schools. 12 of those years I've served as a media technician. 5 of those 12 years I have been split between middle and high school. My hope tonight is that my voice, just one voice, can make a difference. Just like one voice managed to convince this board to remove an already approved book. One reason cited for the removal of Flamer was due to the language. But I want to ask this board, when was the last time any of you walked through the halls alone in a middle school during class change? When you have an 11-year-old kid in 6th grade tell you to F off, you stand there just gobsmacked. That happened to me last year. These children use this language, whether you believe it or not. My point is, languages used in Flamer reflects that we already hear in our schools, especially in middle school. This book is realistic. More importantly, students are drawn to the book where they see themselves reflected in a character.
Thank you.
Please.
Kate Christie. Robin Brown. Aravinda Palamari.
Good evening. My name is Aravinda Pillalamari. As a parent, I expect decisions on library materials to be made by librarians and any review conducted through publicly accountable processes. It is my right to benefit from the experience and expertise of these trained professionals, not to have our children's education subject to authoritarian whims and bans designed to spread fear and show power. The questions raised by Flamer don't vanish just because you ban it. Young people do often wonder whether they belong, whether life is worth living, and while we read from the perspective of Aiden, we also see one of the boys who mocks him, Elias, come to admit his mistake in one of the most moving passages of the book. He realizes his world is smaller without Aiden and seeks to make things right with him. Respectfully, you can learn from a teenager in a novel. All of us can. Our students deserve leaders as brave as the children you claim to protect. Stories that offer hope, teach empathy, and show a way forward are going to deal with challenging topics, and that is all the more reason to make sure they are not banned.
Our next speakers are Daniel Flannery, Rick Check, Jean Salvatore, and Thomas Piddington.
Good evening. My name is Daniel Flannery. I had a long script here ready for 3 minutes, but now we're down to just 1 minute. I am for banning this book in the schools. To those that think that the people have not read this book, I won't say I read the entire book, but I've read a good bit of this, enough to know what I'm talking about with this book, including reading to the end where there is no resolution in the book. So how they can say this is a useful tool is really beyond the point. If you're looking to reinstate this book, then I think you also need to look at reinstating some other very controversial books. Of Mice and Men, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, To Kill a Mockingbird, of course, Huck Finn. But I doubt that anybody would have the guts to do that because this is a selective process that is favored by those.
Thank you.
Sorry for doing that. My name is Rick Check, and I am a retired high school math teacher. Though I would say I generally do not approve of book banning, I will laud this board for managing the literature that promotes hypersexualization imagery. For the sake that you were looking at saving, preserving, caring for the tender minds and imaginations of our youth for tomorrow. If we thought this material was appropriate, we could put it up on a billboard, let people call in and say, vote. And I think we know that probably a vast majority of people would say, no, you did right. Okay? Regardless of our Raven fans here, you made the right choice, and I laud you for it. Remember, it's about shared environments. That's what we have to protect, and that is what we have to honor. Thank you.
Good evening, Board. I'm Tom Piddington, and just to start out, I support the ban. This book isn't going to save lives. It's going to cause some confusion. People with my perspective will come up here, and the other side is automatically going to brand us. We're homophobic. I hold no ill will. I'm as libertarian as anybody could be about the way you want to live your lives. But when it comes to confusing young children and destroying the purity of their hearts, I have a serious problem with that. A number of people last month were talking on the same subject, and they were saying we need to trust our teachers. Well, there's only one teacher in this room that I saw come up and stood against the ban, and he was retired. Every other person stood for the ban. I think teachers have lost an awful lot of respect and trust from our side on this. We had parents coming in. We had a very proud parent last month who actually referred to her child as a not gay yet child, all while supporting this book.
Thank you.
Is there a Jean Salvatore? No. Next, we have Casey Maley, Eli Burby, Julie Parker, and our fourth is Ronnie Davis. Is there a Casey Maley, Eli Burby, Julie Parker, Ronnie Davis?
Good evening. My name is Ronnie Davis. Banning books is not just about taking titles off a shelf. It is about silencing voices, erasing stories, and controlling what people are allowed to think. History has shown us where that path leads. The Nazis burned books to destroy ideas they feared. It seems we've gone down that road in this county. As a former teacher, I had parents who didn't want their child to hear Harry Potter because they believed I'd be teaching witchcraft. If only I had that power. I found an alternative for those children. Other parents were thrilled Harry Potter got their children to read. The truth is, the only real power teachers have is to open doors, to spark curiosity, and to give children the tools to think for themselves. Every book is a chance to understand the world better, and when we start closing those doors, we don't just limit our children, we limit our future.
The last three speakers I called were actually virtual, so when we're done with the in-person, we'll call in the virtual. Next, we have Kayla Plamari, Alma Ilian, and Jess Fendrick.
Good evening. My name is Kiali Pilalamari. I'm a proud graduate of Aberdeen High School, class of 21. I'm here today to oppose the ban and ask you to reinstate Flamer. And I'm also here to ask you for transparency going forward in all of the board's operations. I am against book bans in general. I'm in favor of the right to read, of the right of children to read. Read To Kill a Mockingbird, Huckleberry Finn when I was young. Really glad I had the opportunity to do that and to discuss one of those books in my English class. And I really like Flamer. I read it recently. It addresses a lot of realistic issues that middle and high school students face, whether that's bullying, whether that's questions about puberty, whether that's questions about how they fit in with their peers, whether that's questions about their family. And it ends with the message of hope, which I'd like to read in my last 10 seconds. Your family loves you, Aiden. You know they do. Could you watch your mother from the other side weeping for the rest of her life? Would you leave the twins without the big brother they look up to? Will you leave them too scared to grow up? This book is an anti-suicide book, and everyone should read it.
Is there an Alma Ilian? Oh, thank you.
I'm Alma Ilian. I'm a mother, grandmother, and a great-grandmother. And I believe that books should not be banned because certain parents find them undesirable for their children to read. There are other people that wish their children to have the knowledge of those books. This issue is not about banning certain books, but the lack of parental supervision on the part of certain parents. If you do not want your child to learn what is written in certain books, you should certainly be able to make the issue clear to them and make sure they are not reading them. It is not the job of the library or the government to supervise what your child is reading, but you as a parent. My understanding is that you as a parent can opt your child out of certain books. Please make that decision for your child and let other parents choose what their child reads. Amen.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica Fendrick. I am speaking on my own behalf today, but for the new folks on the board, I'm a member of the NAACP of Harford County, the League of Women Voters in Harford County, Uprooted Chesapeake, which is a nonprofit here in the area, as well as a proud member of Be Smart, which is an organization that helps prevent guns and unintentional gun violence in the United States. I would just like to say that I would think that you should reverse your decision, which I know you guys left yourself no option to do that. So I think you need to write another procedure that you all wrote to make sure that you don't let the majority, who has been in the past 2 sessions been against this book ban, their voices be unheard because one person went through the system knowing that they were going to get to the people they wanted to get to at the very end, regardless of the professionals ahead of time. I'm afraid that this is the first of just many poor decisions this book banning will be, but sounds like they're getting ready to put some more books on the list for y'all to ban. So I think that it's important for you to put out a legal procedure that...
Thank you. No, ma'am. Thank you.
Next, we have Fred Durst, followed by Paul Melka, Michael Pison, and Pamela Demmer.
Hello, board members. I'd just like to say 3 things about asking you to reinstate Flamer. It's ironic that you want children to grow up to be strong thinkers, yet when faced with a book that could challenge them to think critically, you censor it. You say you want to prepare our children for the world, yet you hide the realities of bullying, identity, and belonging. You say you want safe schools, and yet you take away stories that help kids feel seen. The hypocrisy is obvious, and our students are smart enough to see it. What lessons do you think they're learning about honesty, leadership, and trust? Let me just say that you've caused a huge controversy. You didn't listen to the professionals. You didn't follow your procedures. I hope that you listen to the people that this ban has affected. Please listen to them.
Hello, my name is Paul Melka. I didn't even know I was speaking till I walked up today, and a gentleman that just went before actually invited me to go ahead and speak. To be honest, I am opposed to banning books per se, but I have no problem with inappropriate age books being removed from shelves. And from my understanding, this book is appropriate for 10th to 12th graders, not middle schoolers. Certainly, middle schoolers are dealing with very similar problems that the senior high schoolers are dealing with. But again, do we really want to expose these younger children to basically the language in that book? I know I'm a volunteer coach. If those kids used the language that's in that book, I would be very shocked, and I don't think they would be playing on the team, much longer, in my opinion. So that's all I have. Thank you very much for your time.
Is there Michael Pison? I believe he may have already spoken. Pamela Demmer?
Hello, can you guys hear me over there? Okay. I oppose this book ban, and I ask that you reinstate the book. You didn't listen to the professionals, you didn't follow the process. There was so many things that you did wrong, and this is obviously a way to silence people, and it looks like the other side has got a whole lot of books they want to ban here. Oppose this banning of the book.
Next, we have Katie Bosserman, Donna Zavacki, Carolyn Ferletti, and Kaylee McConan.
Good evening, everybody. Can you all hear me over there? Yeah. Great. When we do this again, please speak into the mic so we can all hear. Good evening. I oppose the removal of the book Flamer, and I ask you to please consider reinstating the book into the libraries on the shelves for the students to read and share with their parents and their friends. And I mean, there's so much bullying that goes on in schools. I'm an advocate. I deal with this all the time in team meetings. I get really concerned about the amount of it that's going on. And, you know, our students need to have messages like the one that's in this book. Okay, I'm just going to read this. This is on page 126, message about sexuality, self-awareness, and bullying. And even though I'm not gay, I feel bad for gay people because I know how mean people can be. I can't imagine what someone's life would be like, you know, being gay out in the open.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board. I'm a retired teacher. I've taught in Harford County for 42 years, and I'm just so surprised at what's happening. This ban says one thing loud and clear: you do not trust your own professionals. You don't trust the teachers who guide our kids every day. You don't trust the librarians trained to curate collections. You don't trust the review committee you appointed. Instead, you bowed to pressure from people who cherry-pick lines and spread fear. If our school cannot trust educators to make informed decisions, then what message are you sending? Please think about this. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Carolyn Ferletti, and I'm the parent of middle and high school boys. And I just wanted to speak that I oppose the ban and wanted to talk about community representation. Harford County is not a single story. Our children come from diverse families, different races, faiths, cultures, and identities. Public schools exist to serve all of them. When you ban a book that uplifts those who feel different, you are saying you do not count. You are narrowing education to fit one worldview when its purpose is to expand minds. Public education belongs to the whole community, not to the loudest faction. Overturn the ban on Flamer. Thank you.
My name is Kaylee McConan. I am with the vast majority of people that you've heard over from the past couple of months, and I'm against banning the book Flamer. I'm against all book bans. Those who ban books are never on the right side of history. The claim that this book is only being banned because it is pervasively vulgar is incorrect and, in my opinion, purposely a lie. Several board members have shared homophobic beliefs on their own social media profiles. We can see that. We have also seen this board try to push policies through that are homophobic in nature and are clearly targeting our queer students. The message that we're sending is unacceptable. Our queer community does not feel welcome by us. That is the message that you're sending by banning books like Flamer. Reverse the ban.
Next, we have Cheryl Worthington, Sabrina and Joshua Bryant, Marlon Mahinka Cruz,
There are so many things I could say about banning this book. All I'm going to say is don't ban it. That's it.
I'm sorry, were you Sabrina Bryant? Okay, all right. Is there Sabrina and Joshua Bryant? No. Julia Resin? Is there a Julia Resin? Adriana Husta? Dr. Gregory? Okay, thank you.
Hello, I'm Julia Rusin. I actually had a little typed thing that I was going to say, but everyone has already said it. So, the one and only thing I can say is on the cover of Flamer, this book will save lives. if it saves one life, it's worth it. It's worth reading. It's worth putting back in the public school, in the high schools. Please, please, one life will be important enough to have this book in the library. Thank you.
I'm Adriana Husta, and I am a former member of the Harford Community Arts Board. And so I come to you to ask you not to ban Flamer, because Flamer is a book about the human condition, and we should never ban the human condition. Children and adolescents know about the human condition. They understand it very well. So this is an example of the human condition, and we should respect that. Let us stand proud, in Harford County, that we understand the human condition, and we allowed the artists and the writers to express themselves. That's all. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Gregory Endyke. I'm a retired dentist. I have a degree in dental medicine, and I taught genetics in graduate school. Hopefully, I can maybe offer you a scientific explanation for this, and I think it's something that the board should consider in banning books. I think we have to teach the facts. The facts is that gender dysphoria is rooted in genetics and biology. To ban any books is to ban human rights of these individuals for no reason other than they were born that way. The evidence is out there. Evidence of gender dysphoria is with SYR genetic mutations, and that affects the testosterone level in the developing fetus, and the fetus then, or the...
Thank you, sir.
Next, we have Kay Flo, Colleen Bianco, Bryce Porter, and Jacqueline Booth.
Good evening. I am Kay Flo. I'm the second vice president of the Harford County NAACP. I just want to read a statement officially from the NAACP. We firmly oppose book banning, viewing it as a form of censorship that disproportionately affects marginalized communities, specifically Blacks and members of the LGBTQ+ communities. We see it as an infringement on the First Amendment right to free speech and expression, hindering societal progress. We believe that diverse books, including those reflecting various histories and life stories, are crucial for students' education and for fostering understanding within communities. I also beseech this board, as we start the new board year, that you remember that you are representing districts with diverse people and stop representing just special interest groups. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Colleen Bianco. The danger isn't just this one book, but every book that follows. It's about every book that might be pulled because someone, somewhere, who possibly hasn't read the book, decides it is offensive. If you don't like it, then don't read it, but don't ban it. Remember, you represent every HCPS student. Their stories need to be heard. As it says on the cover, this book will save lives. Do better and reverse the ban on Flamer.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bryce. I am a student here at Harford Technical High School. I oppose the banning of the book Flamer or of any other book. The way these books are being reviewed and banned is illegal. The meetings to review these books and to see if they should be banned was done in secret and was not open to the public. The public deserves to be aware of what books are currently up for review and what is going to be banned. The public also has the right to give opinions on the rules and guidelines on how these books are banned. I know countless students that are being mentally harmed by the banning of these books. These books make students feel like themselves, feel safe, and help them find and create friendships. These books are incredibly important to students and their mental health. Not only is this hurting mental health, it's hurting their skills they need to think for themselves. Banning books is creating mindless students who cannot process emotions properly. The content in this book is the same vulgar content that any modern children can find online very easily, or in person, or in schools. You cannot stop this from happening. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline Booth, speaking as an individual. I just want to speak to the issue of access here. I oppose the banning of this book and any other book that has gone through the due processes that have been outlined by the Board of Ed and in accordance with Maryland state law, as well as how it integrates with HCPS policy. Some folks have mentioned about how this will limit students' access if we take it off the shelves. Yes, we have our wonderful public libraries, but we are also not taking into account students who are dealing with homelessness. We are not taking into account students with various situations, whether it be from a storm outage to a consistent issue with paying for home internet access. These are considerations where students do not have the same access across the board, and removing materials out of our school libraries that have been vetted and otherwise approved limits access.
Next, we have Janine Canito, Kurt Doan, Emily Pine, and Eric Thompson.
Good evening. First of all, banning books is an incredibly gaslighting, inflammatory characterization of what we're talking about here tonight. We're talking about what is appropriate for children to read in school. 20 years ago, if I was alerted as a mental health professional that a teacher was sharing some of the content in some of these books, as a mandated reporter, I would have had to report them to Child Protective Services. What's changed? Hopefully nothing. So where is the line? It keeps moving as far as I can see. I've heard books should reflect lived experience. What's the next lived experience? Bestiality? I don't know. The line keeps moving.
My name is Dr. Kurt Doan, and I'm the president of the Upper Chesapeake Bay Pride Foundation. I'm also the parent of 2 HCPS kids, and I urge you to reverse the book ban. Flamer was banned on the absurd premise that it is vulgar, perverted, and pornographic. It is none of these things. Flamer illustrates the impact of peer and institutional bullying on teens. A good example of institutional bullying might be for board members who seem to loathe queer kids so much that they bar them from accessing potentially life-saving literature. If you don't care about the health and safety and well-being of all kids, not just the ones that look like you or align with your ideologies, then you have no place on this board. And since I have some time left, the millstone parable that has been used twice in this meeting is a veiled threat. What are you all going to do about that? You seem so intent on banning. That is the thing that you should be banning and addressing.
Please
not
refrain
this.
from responding.
Hi, I'm Emily, and I asked the board to reverse the decision to remove Flamer from Harford County Public Schools. I read Flamer, and I resonated with the protagonist, Aiden Navarro, as he questioned his identity, gender, his sexuality, and grappled with the emotional weight of finding belonging. As I read, I let myself remember the discomfort of youth, of trying to make sense of my own middle school struggles with feelings of queerness, of feeling on the outside of what was deemed normal. This book could help young students feel less alone, perhaps even fast track them in their journey of self-discovery. I believe free people read freely, and so I just really ask you reinstate Flamer. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Eric Thompson. I live here in Harford County. I have two awesome nephews who attend Harford County Public Schools. I oppose book banning, and I oppose the arbitrary and illegal removal of Flamer from HCPS libraries. For those who haven't read the book or might be under the false impression that it's pervasively vulgar with no redeeming value, I'd like to share a short passage. This is a note from the main character's pen pal, Violet, who is based on a real person from Harford County. Dear Aiden, there is nothing wrong with you. You are my best friend in the whole world. I would never, ever abandon you. I am here and always will be. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Susie Scott, followed by Imani Alvoke and Kiana Charlton.
Good evening, members of the board. It's just too bad that we're spending another school board meeting listening to the same misinformed talking points regarding the decision of your decision to remove one pervasively vulgar book from our school libraries. The claim that we should turn the matter of curating our school libraries over to the experts is ridiculous. Thank you for acting to remove the one book that was challenged by a very brave mom who is the expert of her child. And to clear up the claims that she didn't read the book, that's a patent lie. She read the whole book. She followed the procedure. If we've learned anything, it's that this current procedure of challenging books isn't workable. So I implore you to actually look at what's being purchased for use in our school libraries. And you are curating a library. This use of the word banning throughout this whole time is ridiculous. Don't stand up to the bullies. You made the right decision, stand by it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Imani Alwuj, and I am a student here at Harford County Public Schools. Grappling with harsh topics is essential because they reveal the realities of our world. We cannot afford to shield ourselves from the existence of violence and oppression. The next generation must learn from the stories reflecting today's world, enabling us as a society to progress forward, and exposure to these diverse narratives, even those that may be uncomfortable, fosters deeper understanding of complex issues. By confronting these realities, we can empower individuals to challenge injustice, promote inclusivity, and build a more equitable society for all. Thank you.
My name is Kanaya Charlton. In 1933, the Nazi regime burned and later banned any literature deemed un-German or promoted immoral topics such as socialism, democracy, and Marxism. America's reaction at that point was one of disgust and outrage. 100,000 people mobilized in protest in New York City. It is beyond disheartening to see that nearly 100 years later, the U.S. has come to mimic them. As a student, maybe a corrupt one, I very well could have read Flamer alongside books like Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi or Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. All three are conflicting pieces that confront uncomfortable truths, yet two are in the curriculum while one is pushed and diminished. How can you let some books pass and challenge others just because they contain experiences and scenarios that contradict your ideals? Thank you.
Vice President Page, that's all the in-person speakers. We do have a couple of virtual.
Okay.
I will go ahead and admit the first virtual speaker. Good evening. You are now in the Board of Education meeting. Before you begin your public comment, please state your first and last name. Your time will conclude in 1 minute. Please introduce yourself and you may begin your public comment now.
Hi, this is Casey Miley. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you. Please proceed.
Okay. I'm here today as a grandparent of 4 young children in the Harford County school system, 2 boys and 2 girls. I support the gay community, but at the same time believe that there are some lines that should not be crossed in a public school system with our vulnerable youth. I'm not here specifically to discuss the book Flamer, although I do applaud the board for removing it from the shelves after hearing some of the excerpts tonight, and how anyone can say with a straight face that that book does not contain graphic content is outrage. I'm more concerned with the overall Maryland State Department of Education policy on providing safe spaces for transgender youth. And I've heard a few comments tonight about suicide rates in the gay community and how this book, Flamer, quote, saves lives. But according to the NIH, suicide rates for individuals who underwent gender-affirming surgery had a 12.12-fold higher suicide attempt risk than those who did not. I think we need to get back to the fundamentals of reading, writing, and arithmetic and stop this ideological grooming with our hard-earned taxpayer dollars and protect
You have
our
reached
youth.
the 1 minute mark. Thank you. Good evening. You are now in the Board of Education meeting. Before you begin your public comment, please state your first and last name. Your time will conclude in 1 minute. Please introduce yourself and you may begin your public comment now.
Hi, my name is Arvel Burby. For my public comment, I'd just like to say that acquiring diverse knowledge and perspectives is part of growing and being human, as is deciding what to do with that information and drawing your own conclusions. All that limiting access to books does is prohibit people from thinking for themselves, and in the case of developing young minds, finding out who they truly want to be in life. The last thing school-age kids should be is sheltered, inflated, and held back by the personal whims of others who've forgotten what it's like to search for answers and meaning in a world that won't look out for them. Enabling youth to find a fulfilling future means the genuine needs and interests of everyone in the county must be considered, and this is not it. We've all heard the phrase, "Don't judge a book by its cover," and yet here I am having to defend freedom of information and a basic right of marginalized communities to be heard from those who haven't even bothered to read a book and made a personal value-based judgment instead. What sort of harmful precedent does that set for those who might find value in all manner of media? Is the goal not to build a more harmonious, honest educational upbringing in an age so saturated with information that reality can easily be trampled underfoot? Decline in critical thinking is slow and incremental. It doesn't happen overnight.
You have reached the 1 minute mark. Thank you. Good evening. You are now in the Board of Education meeting. Before you begin your public comment, please state your first and last name. Your time will conclude in 1 minute. Please introduce yourself and you may begin your public comment now.
My name is Julie Parker. I was just thinking it would be beneficial for children in Harford County to learn more than just four-letter words from books in our libraries. Example, F-U-C-K, D-I-C-K, C-O-C-K, S-U-C-K. I hope to do better. It makes Harford County schools look like uneducated, perverted hillbillies. How about learning something intelligent and useful with some critical thinking skills? Maybe how to read bigger words that will keep them from committing suicide, taking drugs, and how to get a job and stay out of jail. I was just thinking, words like beautiful, magnificent, eloquent. We need bigger ideas, bigger hopes and dreams. It was a poor representation of Harford County educators and those who are pushing this filth. One word sums it up, pathetic. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil. We wouldn't have to remove books if the committee picked age-appropriate books to begin with. This book gives ideas to bullies.
You have reached the 1 minute mark. Thank you. Ms. Page, that concludes our virtual public comment.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you all for your comments tonight and for being here. We will now start with board member comments. And Dr. Poynton, I will start with you.
All right, good evening. I'll go first here since I'm remote. Thank you for your comments this evening, everyone. Just wanted to give some insight into my decision to remove the book from the library shelves where students as young as 10 or 11 had unfettered access to the book. First, many of the claims that I heard tonight about the board violating the Opens Meeting Act or exceeding its authority are simply false. We acted fully within both the procedure and the law. The HCPS procedure, which was developed with extensive public comment and is also made public, requires materials to be evaluated for, quote, appropriateness for recommended grade levels at each grade level. For middle school, it specifically prohibits, quote, explicit sexual activity or extreme descriptions of sexual aggression, and, quote, disrespectful portrayals of characters and sexual objects, as well as considering profanity. Yet Flamer published clearly by its own publishers, designed for grades 10, 11, and 12, was placed in middle school libraries where students had unfettered access to it. That directly contradicts both our own standards and common sense. Let me be clear, this is not about censorship. I oppose censorship. It's about applying age appropriateness standards consistently. In fact, to my recollection, sexual orientation didn't even come up at all as a factor for pulling the book during the conversation. The decision was made because Flamer contains graphic sexual references and vulgarities. So explicit, it was noted tonight that I could not even read the book here out loud at this forum without being fined by the FCC, because these are on public airways. If it were a movie, it would absolutely be rated R. Earlier, someone mentioned that they had read the book and it had over 50 foul words, while the Motion Picture Association uses the standard of only 2 F-bombs to be rated R. So ask yourself this: should parents surrender their rights to a ticket taker at the movie theater? If your 10 or 11-year-old came home and said that they were allowed to see an R-rated film without your permission, would you accept that? In this case, the ticket taker is the librarian. That's a broken process. Public confidence right now in K through 12 education is already at historic levels, at historic low levels. When we ignore our own standards, we erode that trust even further. I agree that the current procedure is flawed, and I intend to work with the administration and the board to fix it. But parents, not the school system, should decide whether their child is exposed to content that is not designed for their age, in accordance to the book's own publisher. That is accountability, that is responsible governance, and that is not censorship. But with the school year beginning, we cannot let this single issue overshadow the real story of our school system. We're making real progress every day for our students. Our graduation rate has climbed to the highest level in more than a decade. Literary initiatives are moving more students towards grade level reading goals. And just last week, we announced a record number of AP exams taken with results at all-time highs. That's the real story of HCPS. We do have more work to do. Books will certainly be a part of the conversation, but the focus must remain on our core mission of student achievement. So I encourage everyone to please keep the energy going, but let's keep it where it matters most, preparing every child for success. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Perry, I'll start with you.
Okay, mine's short and sweet. So good evening. Thank you for your continued support of our students and staff. I appreciate the comments that were expressed in support of our staff and educators. They are the reason we strive to ensure that our students receive the best education we can provide. We appreciate the expertise that librarians provide in determining the appropriate books for our students to read. Thank you.
Mr. Sewell?
Yep. Thank you to everyone that spoke this evening, and for those that stay in contact with the board through email. Your voice is incredibly important. Thank you for your time, your energy, and your commitment to our community. And perhaps most importantly, thank you for your patience as this board navigates new territory. I hope that a resolution can come forward that can satisfy everyone. Thank you to everyone that supported the Harford County Education Foundation's Stuff the Bus event just outside the building today. There is still time to donate to the Education Foundation's school supply drive. That is so critical to making sure every student in our school system has the school supplies they need and to support teachers throughout our county, particularly the new teachers who are just starting out and need to stock their brand new classrooms. If you would like to donate, there are many locations across the county to donate. You can donate through the Foundation's Target registry, Amazon registry, or Walmart registry. The Foundation's website, harfordeducation.org. Repeat that one more time. harfordeducation.org has a button that says School Supply Donations. That page has links to all the ways you can donate and to the locations around the county where you can physically drop off the donation. Time is of the essence, however, as school is starting very soon. And the sooner we receive the supplies, the quicker we can get the supplies to the teachers and the classrooms in need. It's so critical that every student has the supplies they need to succeed. I want to congratulate our school system for the tremendous increase in student participation in the advanced placement courses and the significant increase in the pass rate. Overarchingly, I want to commend the educators that stepped up to teach these courses and did so effectively last year. You taught 37% more students in these courses year over year, and yet were able to increase the pass rate by 4%. This is an outstanding accomplishment. So I hope you, the educators that taught these courses and worked so hard to challenge the students and through the difficult coursework and recognize your outstanding contribution to, I'm sorry, I think I lost my place. Hang on just a second here. Let me just go back. So I hope you, the educators that taught these courses and worked so hard to challenge the students through the difficult coursework, recognize your outstanding contribution to the students and to your school community. Thank you to everyone in our school system that supported the frontline educators in these classrooms so that they can excel in this way. Thank you to our superintendent for pushing the rigor of instruction in this county so that all students have opportunities that push them to their academic limits. And I want to thank this board for your unwavering support of the diversity and strength of academic programs in our school system. Thank you to the board president, the county executive, the county council president, and the county council for supporting our school system with the funding we needed last year to provide these opportunities to our students. Most importantly, I want to congratulate and celebrate the students who participated in advanced placement coursework. It is not easy. Thank you to the parents and guardians who supported these students. I can speak firsthand. It is a lot. Your support of your student is to be recognized and commended. And now to a new year of advanced placement courses. Godspeed to the students, educators, and families as you push yourselves to the very limits. When we provide the opportunities and the access to education, our students succeed. The accomplishment of advanced placement this past year is just a window into the performance of a subset of the students in our county. I am so delighted to celebrate our educators and our students, and we often do not have the metrics to show all of the successes for all of our students. But I want to recognize all the educators and our students who work so hard every year, and the educators who support the students and their communities. And finally, I just want to welcome all the educators back to their schools, their libraries, and their classrooms for a brand new school year. I hope all of you have a fantastic start to the year. Please reach out to your leadership if you need anything at all to support you and your students. All of us want you to succeed and to feel a deep sense of family and community at HCPS. We are family, and we love you. Welcome. Thank you.
Dr. Mueller? So I want to mention our environmental education program. As some of you may or may not be aware, the Envirothon team from North Harford won second place in the international competition. On top of that, Laura O'Leary, who is their advisor from North Harford, she won the Agricultural Teacher of the Year by the Maryland Association of Soil Conservation Districts. Howard Eakes, who is the head of Harford Glen, won the Outstanding Contribution Award from the Maryland Association of Soil Conservation Districts. You should be very proud of the program that we have, not only at North Harford and at Harford Glen, but throughout the county for the work that we've done in the environmental education here. I also want to make a note that we have a new president and vice president who were elected last meeting, as many of you know. We have elected and appointed members of the board. And it is the president's choice for the agenda, for the order of items on the agenda, for the public comments, where they come and what timing they have available. And I want you to think about this for a minute. I know I was the president at one point and had people accusing me of taking away First Amendment rights when I asked for the public comments to be moved from the beginning to the end of the meeting. But at no time did I limit the amount of time that people had to make their public comments. So if that's taking away First Amendment rights, not one person has mentioned their rights being taken away when they're limited to a short period of time. Back during COVID, when we were doing redistricting, sometimes we had meetings that lasted till 2 a.m. because of the amount of public comments. And a lot of times those public comments were repeated. And I will tell you, when people came in with the script and read it over and over and over again, I did get a little tired of it. But people were heard, and what their voices were saying was heard by everyone on the board. I want you to take that into consideration. They also have the president, it's totally up to them what the seating arrangement is. I mean, I got moved one place. I'm not complaining. I'm not making a big deal out of that. I don't care. I actually like Trey, so I don't mind him. I like Wade, too. I mean, I got two good people sitting with me. But think about the optics. The center portion, which is where most people's eyes go, the president, the vice president, superintendent, he just stays in the same place all the time. We don't move him around, are all the appointed officials. Your elected officials are on the outskirts, okay? So where's the importance here? If you're elected, you're marginalized, and if you're appointed, you're elevated. Think about that for a minute. I also want you to think about the entire optics of what's been going on with the board. Dr. Poynton sent an email out to the entire board saying that everything should be answered by the board leadership. Now, I will tell you, I do respect the fact that Aaron is our president and Lauren is our vice president. All right? Have no issue with that. I do have an issue with being told who I can talk to and who I can't talk to. I have a big issue with being told who I can talk to and who I can't talk to. If somebody came up to me on the street, you know, I could kind of hide and talk to them, maybe not get caught by the president, because that's not my job. I'm not supposed, wait, really? That's not my job? I got elected. I mean, I spent a lot of time, money, and effort on getting elected. And people had faith in me that I would be outspoken and that I would say the things that they expected to hear from me, and that I would represent the people in my district. And of course, I'm not going to agree with everybody in my district on every issue. I mean, Mr. Fleckenstein spoke tonight. He's one of my constituents. We don't necessarily agree on everything, but I definitely agree on his right to say what he believes, as I would hope that he would agree on my right to say what I feel most of my constituents would want. But wait, there's one other thing. Once you're elected to the Board of Education, I'm no longer just the representative for District C. I'm supposed to be here for the entire county. I'm supposed to help everyone in the county any way that I can. So if you wrote to me and you're not my constituent, should I not be allowed to answer you? I don't know that I agree with this, and I think that this is something that needs more discussion. The other thing I want to talk about is the books, and whether it's a ban or a curation or whatever, that's fine. I did mention the first time this came up that I hadn't read the book. I have since read the book. The reason I hadn't read it was not because I didn't think it was important. What the appeal hearing was on the process. Was the process followed? We had a procedure, we had a committee. That committee made a decision, and then the parent appealed that decision. The appeal of that decision is on the process. Didn't really matter to me what the book was at that point because it was the process. Was the process followed? And that was appealed to the superintendent. The superintendent upheld that process, and then it came to the board. I did not set the process, but I was familiar with the process. The very people that set the process, that developed the process, are the people that voted against the book. But it shouldn't have been a vote on the book. It should have been a vote on the process. Since then, I have read the book, so the person who earlier said that I hadn't read it, I've read the book. If I'd read the book, would it have made a difference as to whether or not the process was followed? No, the process was followed. Don't like the process? Then revamp the process. Go back and change the procedure if you don't like the way the procedure is written. If you think it's a good procedure and you don't like what your committee came up with, sorry, you wrote the procedure. So I really think we need to take a look at this from a different take. And when people say that we did this behind closed doors, it was an appeal hearing. And for those of you who want us to get rid of a lot of books in the library, you guys have got it made because you've got a new process to do it by. Appeal, appeal, appeal. And as you appeal, it goes beyond whether they followed the process. The board can just turn around and say, they don't like the book and we're going to get rid of it. That's all I have to say.
Please refrain from responding. Where's he going? Do we need to remove the audience?
What happened?
Trey, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Today bear with me, my comment is a bit all over the place tonight because there has been many different concerns and many different ideas brought before the board tonight, so my comment's kind of going to go all over the place, so bear with me. I'm going to start with, today I had the privilege of attending the Maryland Association of Boards of Education Student Member Orientation, where I connected with other student members from across the state and gained valuable insight to bring back here to Harford County. I want to take a moment to thank all of the community members who came out to voice their opinions on the recent banning of the book Flamer. But I want to specifically congratulate the students who came to speak on the matter. This takes a lot of courage, and I applaud you for speaking up. All of your voices matter, and I truly appreciate your engagement in these important conversations. While I was not involved in the process of banning this book because I had not been yet sworn in, I plan to order the book after this meeting tonight to read it. I want to fully understand the diverse perspectives of the community and of the people that I represent. I'm also excited to share that I will be starting a new series online called Beyond the Agenda: Notes from Your Student Member. This will give post-board meeting summaries, so please be sure that you follow the official student member account at HCPS_SMOB, SMOB, on Instagram to stay updated and connected with the work that I'm doing on the students' behalf. For our students, as the school year is rapidly approaching, I want you all to know that one of my goals this year is to visit at least one, if not two, schools every week so I can directly connect with you, listen to your concerns, and make sure your voices are heard at this table. This is a lofty undertaking, so there might be a week here and there, where I can't quite hit that goal, but that is the goal, and that is a platform that I ran on during my election, and that is one that I plan to uphold. I plan to uphold all of them, but that one is one that is coming along with the start of the school year. So this is a bit off of my script, and I wanted to bring it up because of the nature of the meeting. I wanted to talk about student members across the state and their voting rights, and the recent, it's always been kind of a thing, but the recent emotions and recent opinions that have come up regarding whether or not the student member should be allowed to sit up here on this dais or daises across the county, and whether or not they should be able to vote on matters that the other adult members are allowed to. First, I want to start off with that I was elected by a General Assembly of my peers. I was elected by representatives from every single middle and high school in this county. And I, unlike other board members here, the appointed members, of course, but unlike the other elected members, because I am elected, I represent every single student in this county, all 38,000 of them from elementary to high school. And I take this role extraordinarily, I take it very seriously. So while my voting rights I'm given voting rights through the Maryland state law, and I am given certain rights on this board by our local law and local policies and procedures that take place in the county. But regardless, that right is written into law. and I might be restricted in some of the things that I am able to vote on. But at the end of the day, I am a fully functioning and fully sitting board member on this board, and so are all of the other student board members across the state or across this country. And I am still able to vote on major pieces of legislation that come through here. While I might not be able to vote on certain things, I'm working on expanding that, so we'll see where that goes. But I just wanted to put that out there. If anybody would like to talk about that or to anything like that, you know where to reach me and where to reach the rest of our board. And going off of her comment, I will be happy to speak to anybody about anything that occurs on this board, because at the end of the day, I was elected by a body of my peers to represent all of the students in this county, regardless of who they are, how old they are, or what their situation is. And then lastly, I want to wish every student across Harford County a wonderful first day of school and an amazing start to the school year. Let's make this one a good one. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Trey.
Well, yeah, so with respect to, my name is Mark Corn, hi. New member, just with respect to the book, which I did not vote on, whether the appeal or had any part of the removal of the book from the schools, what I noticed was that everybody here has had some opinion on it because it's based upon reading of the book. I also read the book, even though I didn't have, it was post the opinion of the board. The truth of the matter is, and the system is the system, and there are certain standards of review, but everyone talks about their lived experiences and their personal experiences. In my youth, I was an EMT. If you've ever been an EMT or a medical professional and you've come across a scene where somebody has tried or attempted to commit suicide, you would know it, and it would stick with you for the rest of your life. One of the things that struck me in this book, which is just, it's so profound that that people are arguing to have this book in the hands of a 10-year-old, because I have a 10-year-old daughter, and I imagine my 10-year-old is an avid reader, but I think about my 10-year-old daughter looking at a book where you have 3 pages of this book where a boy is taking out a pocket knife and showing how to actually cut their vein. Not in the way, and we used to have this conversation as an EMT, some people cut their vein, they would cut it in one way that was easily repairable, and other people would cut it in another way that was not repairable and would pretty much ensure death. And that's the picture that you have in this book. It's an instruction manual on suicide. On page 306, it literally has a pocket knife, and the boy is cutting into his vein, showing how to commit suicide. Why anyone would put an instruction manual on suicide in the hands of somebody who may be tragically suffering from gender dysphoria or just reading the book is just beyond me. Somebody who can't perhaps read. We have a 56.8% literacy rate or people who are reading proficiency in 8th grade. So that means that roughly half the kids who would have access to the book can't even read it. They're just looking at the pictures on how to commit suicide. And you're going to put this in the hand of a 10-year-old? I would have voted to not ban the book. I don't believe in banning books, but placing books where they are age appropriate. And in this picture, in this book, is not age appropriate for 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds who may be suffering from gender dysphoria. I would hope that people could move forward with respect to focusing not on just what's age-appropriate books for children, but for encouraging their children to learn, to spend time doing the homework that's assigned to them, to working with their teachers to better the education that the kids receive. The teachers can only present the information that is, present the information to the students, and it has to be reinforced at home. So I'd ask and encourage you all to reinforce the education that they are receiving in school so we can see higher grades, and everyone should have a successful, happy, healthy, prosperous new year this year. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. This is the last week of summer break for our teachers, and next week is the last week for our students. I just wanted to say, I hope everyone enjoys these last couple of weeks of summer and has had a restful, fun, and rejuvenating summer. I hope that everyone has a great first day back and is excited for the new year. I also want to congratulate Miss Laura O'Leary from North Harford High School for being recognized for her outstanding leadership and for being named the Agricultural Teacher of the Year by the Maryland Association of Soil Conservation. She is phenomenal, and it is a well-deserved award for her. I would like to address the concerns of many in this room. First, let me say, again, yes, I voted to remove the book Flamer from our schools. I stand by that decision, and I believe that it was the right decision for our students. We are not banning the book, simply removing it from HCPS libraries. If you feel as though you must read the book, or your child must, this book is available to read online at the public library, or you can purchase it from local bookstores. All instructional materials, as well as material available in all HCPS classrooms and libraries, should effectively support and enrich the educational programs of the school system. It is the job of the school system to curate our libraries carefully to do just that. This book, Flamer, along with many other books, has been banned in numerous school systems across the country because the content is pervasively vulgar and inappropriate for a school system to provide to its students. I have read this entire book from the very first page to the very last page, and I find many situations and references inappropriate. Individuals spoke previously about this book being removed because of a kiss. That is incorrect. I'm going to give you a few examples as to why I voted to remove this book, just to clarify. This book uses extreme profanity on numerous occasions, objectifies women, talks about boners, busting a load in a bottle and drinking it, watching his father's pornography collection and speaking about how much hair and how large their private parts are of those porn actors, and asking if priests jerk off. This is just a few of the inappropriate situations and discussions in this book, and is exactly why it has been removed from HCPS and many other school libraries across the country. The Freedom to Read Act in Maryland protects libraries from being censored due to partisan, ideological, and religious disapproval. It specifically prohibits the removal of books or other materials from school libraries based on the author's origin, background, or views. The act also shields library staff from retaliation for adhering to these standards. The law ensures that materials are reviewed and decisions are made through a defined process. HCPS has a process in place. The process that HCPS has in place was followed, and the board voted to remove this book from our libraries and classrooms. We followed the law and the process. Therefore, the removal of this book from HCPS libraries follows the Right to Read Act in Maryland and upholds the requirements of that law. I would also like to say that we actually received a ton of emails about this topic. I've read every one of those emails, and I counted those in favor of those opposed to removing this book. And just to clarify, the majority of emails that we received are in favor of removing this book from HCPS libraries. I also do want to add that I do not agree with limiting the time to 1 minute. I have never supported limiting public comment, as I believe that everyone deserves a chance to speak and to be heard. And as a board, elected or appointed, it is our job to listen to our constituents and their concerns. That is one of our huge responsibilities, and I take that very seriously, whether I agree with what is being said or not. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I guess a lot has been said in regards to this process. And I think that as a board, we need to look at that process. I was strongly in favor of the process when it was being developed. I asked Lauren a couple of times. And I think that if we, as a board member, if something happens in the school system and the parent or whoever is not happy with it, it is a process. It goes to the principal, then it goes up to the superintendent, and then if the superintendent supports it, if the parent is not happy, then it comes to the board as an appeal. It was not a closed-door meeting. We have appeals all the time. We have appeals that relate to students who want to go to another school that's not in their district, and we have appeals and we deal with those appeals. But this particular situation was difficult for me to handle, because I support the staff, I support Dr. Bolson, and those people who are hired to make those decisions. And I think that as a board, we were all looking at some other emotional things. So I ask you just to understand that we're not perfect, and this was a situation that I hope we can learn from. What I would like to say is, on another note, I want to thank the county executive. We received funding through the Maryland Investment and Repair Fund due to disproportionate cannabis enforcement. And the funding came through the county. And I was really excited when I got the copy of the letter from the county executive, because there were organizations who applied for these grants for the funding. And a lot of them had been organizations that had come to us in regards to Boys to Men programs and mentorship programs in the school system. And we don't have money to give to them. But I want to applaud Ms. Mumby in the back. She sits through these meetings every time we have them. And I called her today because I had read the letter and I saw the organizations. And she said she heard about these organizations at the school board meeting. She went back to the county executive and he told her, certainly, get funding to these organizations. So I want to say to all of you, there's funding for organizations for youth programs to benefit the children, And this is, cannabis has affected, I'm sure, everybody in here, your family or friends, but it's money coming back. And so they will have another round of application process, so in January, and I would encourage you to have your organizations, your nonprofits that you're working with, to apply for these grants so that you can help the youth in the community. So I applaud county executive, the funding that these organizations got, and I hope that we can continue to support the youth in the community, because the problem we're talking about with Flamer certainly impacts them also. So thank you, everyone.
Hi, good evening. Last week, I had the privilege to attend the Golden Apple Awards. These are awards presented to 10 outstanding educators throughout the state or county based on their ability to create new creative learning opportunities in the classroom. There were so many creative ideas. One of my favorites was the walking classroom. I thought it was a great idea for the fidgety students to get some fresh air while learning. I could tell how eager these outstanding educators were to introduce these programs when our doors open in just a few weeks. I want you to know that serving in this position is something I take seriously, and I appreciate the vote of confidence I got from the community in being elected to it. I believe in education and want our children to have an education that will prepare them for their adult life. I have taken the criticisms that you provide to heart, and I try to act on them. Some of you have stated that we do not spend enough time in the schools. I have requested to visit classrooms on a regular basis and volunteer to monitor the cafeteria or hallways. In the past, I have been able to sit in several of the classrooms and have toured almost all of the schools, but it has been very infrequent. So this year, I would like to be in the classroom more often, and I do hope that the administrators can make that happen. Also, I would like to ask the educators that send me complaints or criticisms, and then do not take me up on my offer to meet with them. I want them to think about the message that they are sending. We might have differences, but they will not be resolved by creating islands of indifference. We must come together in civil dialogue. The education system speaks of equity and inclusion, but I'm not really even sure that anybody has given me a definition of what that really means. It's complex, I think. I don't think it's simple. And, you know, I've heard people say that these are hate groups or this is that. But a person is not a hater just because they don't agree with you. And I just want to offer my definition of love, because love is not agreeing with someone. Love is wanting what is best for them above your own needs. And then I want to turn my some comments on everybody that came out on the Book of Flamer, because it's created a lot of discussion. We received 124 comments, and I think what you'll be surprised to learn is that statistically, we're equally divided on the topic. There were 65 that supported the decision to remove the book from our library, and 59 opposed. Statistically, there's really no difference. So we're equally divided on this. And I think that says something, or it should say something to you. And I hope that instead of surrounding yourselves with those that think like you, or allowing AI to tune you into things that you support, that support only your views, that we try to talk to those with opposing views. It is important for us to have civil dialogue about these issues and to understand each other. I do not believe in banning books, but removing inappropriate books that should not have been there in the first place is something we need to have a discussion about. We have a responsibility to be prudent with our tax dollars in purchasing books that are appropriate. And it might come to surprise to you that I actually had an educator approach me, and he was just stating, one of our educators stated the same thing, that the books that are being written today are just not a very good quality. Just in general, the books are not as good a quality as they used to be. That's very unfortunate. A detail, then, and Dr. Point already expressed his views on this, but he did write a detailed letter to the teachers' union on why the book was, and the reasons why the book was removed. So if you have any questions about that, you may want to contact them. There were also many comments about the process. The process was followed. That's already been stated. I believe, but there were a lot of comments that we didn't follow the process. We violated Open Meetings Act, which is not a violation, but, you know, and I know Dr. Point already said that we could look at ways to maybe make it more transparent, but there's reasons why appeals are not done in the public. And so we didn't violate the law, we followed the law. And I know that the committee will use these comments in any needed updates. So your comments do matter, and they will be used, I'm sure, in any future updates. And then finally, I just want you all to know that I have educators, the staff, students, and this entire community in my prayers every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here tonight. I had comments written, but I think everything that I was going to say has already been said. So in essence of time, we will move on.